I hate it when I think of something that amuses me and I can't think of what it is that I'm thinking of. Like in
you
my
just
mind,
have that
I'm
kind
like,
of warm, laughy feeling on the inside, and you don't know why.
And all I'm remembering the feeling I had when I saw this thing that I can't remember what it is.
I'm trying to remember my idea too. Go ahead.
No, it's not the show. It's not. I'm sorry, Bill. What were you going to say?
No, I just trying to remember what my second show idea was, and it came back to me.
Oh, good.
See, I've resorted to this. I've got a number 2 pencil in my hand here and a tablet where I actually write things down.
I have one of those too, but it doesn't work as well when I forget to charge it.
Well, I got one of those sitting here too, but I found that you can see the reflection of it off my face, off my glasses, which you can anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a show, but that shouldn't surprise you. This is a meeting. It's very important. It's very serious and sober, and it is when Bill and Steve and I get together, as we've been doing once a week for the past 10 years plus, to discuss what kinds of topics we're going to do in this week's episodes of your favorite show, Right Angle. This week, Bill has actually drawn the long straw and is the privilege of hosting not 1 but 2, and we would have given him more episodes of Right Angle. So, Bill, on the off chance that we may steal your topic, we'll let you go first, and then we'll be scrambling to come up with something to talk about.
It seems unlikely that people are going to be stealing this topic. 2 related stories, I think, for the members show, made possible by members show.
Yes.
Where'd it go? We see from the Daily Mirror that Japanese technicians, I just want to get a better look at this.
I'm just like, what are you doing?
Japanese technicians have created the thing that I've been waiting for my entire life, and that is my cyber robotic tail that I've been missing.
I almost did this.
When I first saw it, I thought it was absolutely, just glancing at it, I thought it was ridiculous. But as the article points out, there are many times when you're bending over to pick up things, you're climbing a ladder or whatever, your center of gravity is not where it should be. And by having your robotic tail with you, you are much more able to be balanced in climbing and things like this. And I like this because Aliens is my favorite movie, and the power suit, and we're actually kind of getting close to it. And this is actually kind of interesting. It's the kind of thing that seemed kind of silly at first, but actually looks like it could be useful, and the kind of thing we might start seeing in loading docks everywhere in the next 4 or 5 years. And that story led me to a second story, which is also part of the members only benefit. Is it the electronic rave thing, Scotty?
The electronic rave thing?
Yeah, you said, oh no, I thought I was going to get your topic.
No.
Connected to the topic of our cybernetic overlords is a story about, I will be more prepared for this in the future. There was a dance party rave. I know I won't. And so basically they invited members from the audience up to wear these powered arms with lights in them, darkened the room and put in all kinds of smoke. And then the arms were controlled by a computer. So the computer is actually doing the dancing, and the people are just essentially there to
watch the computer dance?
Yeah, it's art, but a lot of times art tells us a lot about things that we don't get to see from science. And there's something fundamentally disturbing about seeing 6 or 7 people being controlled by robotic arms that are not under their control. As a piece of art, I think it's brilliant, but it's something. It's just another milestone on the way to wherever the hell we're going.
Wait, do the robotic arms have strings connected to the people and are treating them like marionettes?
It's not a string. They have a hydraulic line or an electrical line. I can't tell which. And so when the people put these robotic arms on, they're supporting the weight of the arms, but the arms are being controlled by the guy who's doing this whole thing by computer in the front of the room.
So you're like puppets on a Wi-Fi string.
They're like puppets. He's making people dance. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to see the video of this, but before we shoot.
It's pretty.
I don't want to see it.
It's kind of cool and kind of disturbing. Both of them are kind of cool and kind of disturbing. But I'm going to be doing a firewall on the shooting thing again, obviously. So I just.
By the way, related to that, hats off to and because we operate this exclusive conservative enclave of a highly secure website, I don't want to reveal the person's entire name, but a David P. has posted to the members blog at billwhittle.com a story and some links to some awesome video. And Bill, if you haven't seen it, you're going to love this, of a guy on a hoverboard crossing the English Channel.
I have seen it. Isn't it
brilliant?
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
It's a 22-minute journey over a 22-mile span. He did this at 60 miles an hour, about 5 feet off the water, it seemed.
Are either of you guys doing that story?
That's the hoverboard story?
No.
But I think I will probably close with that then.
My favorite British headline of all time is Fog Socks in the Channel, Continent Cut Off.
Well, and apparently this craft can travel at 93 miles per hour, if need be, at up to 10,000 feet. But above 10,000 feet, you have to wear oxygen mask.
Sure. I was just camping at 9,600 feet for 3 days and nights over a long weekend. And, man, you stay hydrated or you are hurting.
There's and the term gets a little over-applied, but there's a flight condition most people call the dead man's curve, where there is no recovery from a mechanical failure. That almost never happens in airplanes. Airplanes will glide as long as the wings are attached. You get the nose down fast. It doesn't really happen. But helicopters can have unrecoverable flight characteristics. And if this guy, it's all steered by center of gravity, by balance. And if he goes over too far, that's it. And he's too low for the parachute to save him. He's actually safer up higher.
He was way low, but they actually, you have to practice in order to solo on this. You have to practice with this other similar device that's actually connected to a water hose. That is there's a little raft that's floating around the surface, blowing water through it. Yeah, and those people do flips. They'll do full standing flips. So I wonder if you can do that. Apparently, the device itself is not entirely dependent on your ability to remain standing erect.
Oh, it's gyro stabilized?
That was my understanding.
Okay.
But again, you can push those too far still, though. They've only got so much correction built in.
Yeah, and when you're 5 feet off the water, and that's why apparently they always fly them over the water, because on the off chance that you should wreck the thing, it would be better to wreck it into water than it would be.
Exactly, and in those tropical channel waters, you can survive for days before they find you.
I'll tell you what, when I was water skiing, I've hit the water at 30 or 40 miles an hour, and it's not fun at all. I don't imagine hitting it at 90. It's essentially concrete, but I'd rather go into the water than concrete.
I like your balancing tail story, though. That robotic balancing tail is great, because I have never fully adjusted to bipedalism. Not full bipedalism. You never want to go full bipedal.
I've been every day. I basically wake up and once I get out of bed, I thought I was supposed to have my robotic tail by now.
Yeah.
And is it prehensile, Bill? I mean, can it help you navigate?
It certainly moves, but prehensile, as my understanding, means it can grab things and hold them, and it doesn't do that.
So if you're falling down, it's not going to grab a chair or something and keep. Okay.
No. But what it is doing is it's constantly moving to keep you in balance, and it's providing sort of aft CG, we would say in airplanes, so that if you lean over forward, the tail extends higher. That gives you more moment and more countermeasure, and more counterbalancing kind of thing.
Imagine the extra balance you'd get on a hoverboard if you're wearing your robot tail.
With the robot tail.
That's actually a great point, because I bet you anything that robot tail would help you quite a bit in a situation like that.
I think that, they're saying that this might be helpful for the elderly or people who have trouble maintaining their balance. Because I have right here on my shelf a gyroscope, I've been working on a device that would essentially put grandma in the middle of like two metal rings, and then you would just pull this rope, and she would spin at such a high torque that she could not fall over. And you could literally balance her on the edge of a glass.
I'm picturing the metal spinning thing that they kept General Zod in at the beginning of Superman.
It's
such a great optical illusion. It's such an easy one to make, but it's very cool.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, that is your members sponsored episode, right?
Yep.
Correct. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
There is. I want to basically just piggyback the large-scale financial and viewership success we had with our Area 51 video.
No.
Yep. There are a number of pretty accurate first-person shooter computer games out there, and one of them is called Arma. And they have done mods for the Area 51 being overrun by hippies kind of thing.
Mods? I'm sorry, what's a mod?
Modification to the game so that instead of shooting Al-Qaeda guys, you get guys coming over running in, what is it, Naruto style or whatever. And
with their man bags.
And
your hands out behind you.
Right, and it's hilarious. And that's why I want to show it. Because they come walking in and they just mow these people down. And then they come driving in and they mow them down. And then they come in private helicopters and they mow them down. And then they come back in trucks or something. And the lieutenant says, Jesus, are these guys ever going to quit? And then finally the Marines leave Area 51. I can't describe this except to say, imagine that you took two sets of bleachers, right? And you mounted them to the side of a tank, and you filled each one of the bleachers with Marines with automatic weapons, and then put spikes on the front, and then just drove it out into the middle of this crowd. It's like this death bus, you know.
So it's Roger Corman's Death Race 2000, but with Marines and hippies.
It really is.
So you're saying that since this meme started with Storm Area 51 and Let's See Them Aliens. And these people have said in September they're all going to show up at Area 51. Since then, somebody has modified a popular video game to simulate that and fantasize
scenario
about how that could play out.
And furthermore, they did it all the way because the first things you see in this video are entire families of aliens with their hands tied behind their back down in the dirt being patrolled, by army soldiers who are kicking them and stuff, and then executing them at the very end. They're just putting them up against the wall and just shooting them down.
No.
So I'm going to do this obviously for the laugh, but I'm also going to do it as just as a public service announcement. This is all kind of fun, but essentially this is what you would be running up against, and I don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
And just another PSA from BillWhittle.com.
Another public service message trying to keep people safe and happy out there.
It's better for you to not see them aliens.
If we save one storming Area 51 protester's life, then it's worth it.
And it's worth it, yeah.
Is there any way we could channel that desire to Naruto run into some sort of fruitful thing that would either bring about world peace or solve hunger or diminish climate change or anything
I think anybody who knows what a Naruto run is probably beyond redemption at this point.
You know what this reminds me of? It's a tragicomic version of the French military's plan to retake Alsace-Lorraine in case of a war with Imperial Germany before World War I. And, the Germans had totally fortified the region. Metz was a huge fortress and all the rest. And the French plan, I swear to you, for retaking Alsace-Lorraine from the Germans was Elan.
That's it.
Yeah, spirit.
No, he's absolutely right.
Spirit.
He's absolutely right. We will overrun the German machine guns and concrete bunkers because we have a better fighting spirit. Yeah. Elan,
yeah. Wow. True, that is absolute
idea
true history.
Cost about 500,000 people died for that idea. It drove the French army to mutiny in 1917 as well.
By the way, you guys have inspired me in two ways. In the last week, Bill, I have finally read the short story, Those Who Walk Away from Omelas.
What did you think?
I read that. I thought it was overrated. No, I actually thought it was. I thought it was fascinating. Now I had the whole story because you ruined it on one of our episodes here and told us everything.
I have to ruin it to make the point. Yeah, it's spoiler alert of spoiler alerts.
Yeah, but it was.
But did you have any problem making your decision, Scott?
I didn't have to check a box at the end, did I? Did I miss the test where I had to answer?
It's a choose your own adventure story.
You know which camp you're in.
Yeah. No, I don't think I'd have any problem. I mean, my basic opinion was, well, how bad could the rest of the world suck? So I'll walk away on just kind of betting that if people like me are walking away, then maybe wherever they're going.
Morality argument.
Oh, is this the one where the city or the Fairyland Place is perfect because the one girl is in.
Yes.
Ursula K. Le Guin
or
short
child
story.
of some sort.
Terrific.
We don't know if it's a girl.
And she's bearing the sins of the entire society, and nobody's sick, and nobody's hurt, and nobody's hungry, and nobody gets, diseases or anything. And the O'Malans point out that, look, if we didn't do this, then instead of one tortured, horrible, lice-ridden girl, there'd be thousands of them, millions of them. And it's a compelling argument. It's the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Fascinating story.
And that is the trap. That's the socialism trap. That's how you dehumanize people, by saying better to kill 3 people to save 5. Better to not kill anybody, frankly.
Yeah.
So the other thing that both of you have done that I have not previously done is now I'm listening to the audiobook version of Shattered Sword.
Oh,
I have not heard. I tried to find that book.
Oh, I thought you had already read it. It's just Steve?
Just me. In fact, Bill, I need a mailing address so I can send you a hard copy of this thing, because if you can't find an e-copy, because it's
what's
it's
a
so
hard
good.
copy?
Okay, remember when these were made out of paper?
No, me neither. Okay, thanks, Steve. I'll take you up on that.
But anyway, I'll tell you where I got it, Bill. And this is, I really wish we were being paid for this plug, but I'm now a subscriber to a service called Scribd or Scribd. I don't know how to pronounce it because it doesn't. It should be a short I because it's SCRIBD. And it allows you to get essentially unlimited reading and audiobook access, plus access to all kinds of documents and sheet music, believe it or not. But it's I don't know, it's like $10 a month or something like that, and you can read or listen to as much as you want. So
who couldn't afford $10 a month?
Yeah, that's right. After you blow $10 a month at BillWhittle.com, then you're already primed to waste $10 a month. You should go to Scribd.
Precisely.
It's so good. My favorite section of the book is fairly early on. There's a. I'm not going to spoil anything.
I don't want to know who wins the war in the Pacific yet.
There's a very large section detailing Japanese naval doctrine, and the authors preface this part by saying, we're going to have to talk now in depth about Japanese doctrine, so why don't you pour yourself a strong drink first?
He said a tall glass of spirits.
Yeah, tall glass, that's what it was. Thank you.
I'm in that section right now. And actually, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
Was it the whole shattered gem kind of thing?
Well, the only problem with listening to the book is there are too many Japanese names, and frankly, and I'm sorry for the people who live in Japan who watch this show, but your names don't make any sense. They just don't.
Well, and one of the reasons they have to talk about doctrine so much is no two Japanese carriers were alike. They're practically characters in the book, and so you've got to drill down to understand how the battle unfolded.
Yeah.
So far, right now they're talking about the alleged attempt to invade the Aleutians, and whether that was a feint to avoid to draw attention away from Midway or not. And so, what they have access to in this book, by the way, is a bunch of sort of Japanese documents that they didn't previously have, and they've also kind of discovered that some of the primary source material that they have been relying on by Japanese authors was not only accidentally wrong but intentionally wrong in at least one case.
Yeah, Fuchida.
Well, I definitely
names.
want to see it.
It's so good.
Well,
so anyway, okay. Oh yeah, I guess we can't get away with stalling any longer. Stephen Green, you are also plan to host an episode of Right Angle this week. What would you like to talk about?
I thought, what the hell? Why shouldn't I do a segment this week?
Why not?
Why not? So, over the weekend, you know how all the lefties say they're going to boycott Georgia because of not banning guns or banning abortion or whatever the reason du jour is. That's a kind of soup, by the way. In Atlanta over the weekend for 3 or 4 days, the Democratic Socialists of America held their annual big party conference. And they live streamed it. They live streamed the goings on in the main hall, and a couple of folks were nice enough to put together some clips of exactly what goes on when you put, I don't know, a few hundred committed socialists in a room together, and then they have to talk about the ground rules.
And all I have to say to those of you out there who are armed against the coming communist revolution, be afraid, be very afraid.
Because once they figure out their personal pronouns, they're coming after you.
Because once you've figured out how much money you've wasted on ammunition, once you realize that half a mag would do it, you will have a nervous breakdown of some kind, I suspect.
Well, now, see, this is the kind of talk right now that's ruining our country. This is like, can we ever make ammunition jokes ever again?
Yeah.
I'm going to be showing video
Absolutely.
of people being cut down by gunfire, that's that.
There you go. So it's pretty much everything you could imagine. Every whiny, wimpy beta male demanding to get their way. And
my only comfort in this,
all the rest.
Bill, is that I know that we're not going to inspire any kind of heinous acts because we've never been able to inspire anything before.
That's right.
So
that's how I sleep at night, frankly.
Of any kind. Okay, so Steve, this is kind of related to your topic, and this comes from a member at billwhittle.com who posted something. He didn't include a link to this, and frankly, I didn't want to be too derivative, so I didn't watch the video which he was referencing, which had to do with plutocrats and pitchforks. But one of our members, I'll just use his first name. His name is Rod, and Rod H. Posted this note that basically made me ask the question, which he was asking: does capitalism contain the seeds of its own destruction? And I thought it was a fascinating idea because as we're looking at this rising tide of socialism, a la the Democratic Socialists of America and AOC and Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, and we can go on and on. It almost seems like I wrote this little chain of events down. Greed drives you toward protectionism, protectionism toward monopoly, monopoly towards sloth and a decay of imagination, and self-preservation angers. Your drive to self-preservation causes you to discriminate against workers and the less privileged, who then resent your existence and call for equal distribution of all the goods and the mechanisms for producing them. And it's almost like, is it like a vicious cycle? I'm also reading how the Scots invented the modern world right now.
Oh, that's another good book.
I mean, they didn't invent it right now. I'm reading it right now,
yeah.
how the Scots invented the modern world. And one of the things he's talking about is in how Adam Smith's work and later Adam Ferguson, they did talk about the risk posed by business people who lacked morality. And essentially, it wasn't enough to just say, hey, free markets are great, let's allow utter freedom in markets. The responsibility of the individual still obtains. And if you don't have that, especially in large corporations that ally themselves with government, then again, this whole thing could collapse. So I just thought it was an interesting question to not only does capitalism contain the seeds of its own demise, but is there any way to break out of that loop?
Got it. That's a great question.
Yeah. Actually, going to have to give that some thought in between segments here. And I
that is
resent you for that, Scott.
Not encouraged and not promised. It was never part of the covenant that we made with our members that thought would be. Actually, I often brag about, as I did this morning in an email to all those people who have at one time or another perhaps been part of our membership but then drifted away, to invite them back, is this member blog and how it does encourage civil dialogue and inspire thought. And frankly, a lot of laughter too, especially when you see a guy on a hoverboard crossing the English Channel. So this whole thing, this whole mess that you just witnessed here, plus everything that will be gurgitated and then regurgitated out of it, is thanks to the members at billwhittle.com. We're ever grateful for you to make this kind of our luxurious lifestyles possible, as well as the opportunity to do something that we really love. This, by the way, is a new black T-shirt. You might think it's the same black T-shirt that I wear during every episode. There, you would be wrong, my friend. I have an entire closet full of black T-shirts, and I rotate them to the back once and once only. When they come around the second time, I dispose of them in an honorable way, and then buy more.
Scott's pay. He's got more than one T-shirt.
I've been throwing out the soap as soon as you can't read the word on it anymore.
Oh, and I read a story. We can't do an episode on this, but I read a story the other day about this whole movement of people who believe that soaps and shampoos are killing the helpful bacteria. Just like you've heard so much in recent years about gut bacteria. This is helpful to your system and probiotics and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Well, now this whole movement of people. One guy among them, a scientist who started some company that sells some sort of spray that you can use early on, because when you stop using soap immediately, your body's bacteria aren't in balance, and so you do smell bad. But after a while, you stop smelling bad, apparently, and you have odorless armpits because your whole bacteria... This is what they're saying. I have not tested this myself.
Now, after a while, you lose the ability to smell yourself, and you have no friends or family anymore, so they can't smell you either.
I'm thinking you go nose blind as well. But anyway, that won't be a topic this week, and for that you can thank us as well, and we thank you for your contributions at BillWhittle.com. Please invite others to join. The numbers have been growing, especially among YouTube viewers, since Bill did that Apollo 11 What We Saw series for Esoteric Radio Theater, and that, by the way, Bill, you probably didn't know this, but I emailed this out to our folks this morning. That series, when you go to Apple's podcast thing and you search for Apollo 11, they give you the top 9 podcasts about Apollo 11. And with the whole, explosion of all of that stuff that came out around the 50th anniversary, I thought maybe if one of your episodes gets into the top 10, you'd be doing good. 4 episodes in the top 9. If you under the Apollo 11 topic.
You're saying of the top 9 episodes, 4 of them are from what we saw?
Within that topic of Apollo 11, yes. Not in general, not worldwide.
Could you send me that link? I'd like to see that.
It's really impressive.
It's Apple iTunes. If you just go to iTunes and type in Apollo 11 under podcasts, I don't know how to do a link with that.
That's all right, I'll do it.
But anyway, and I saw there were, of the top 9 episodes, yours wasn't number 1. I think your first one was like number 3 or 4. But then all 4 of your episodes were in the top 9 of Apple's podcasts under Apollo 11. Anyway,
I believe you.
I've run out of things to talk about. Go ahead.
Okay. No, I'm just trying to find the podcast stuff. Go ahead. Let's close this thing and get this thing over with. Get people back on the
we all need to use the restroom, mostly our viewers. That's right. Aim for the hole. Aim for the hole. I'm Scott Ott with Bill Whittle and Stephen Green. Thanks to the members for making this possible. Take care.